Hello guys, welcome to a new video of Fischer series. Today we're round number 6 of the Stockholm Interzonal of 962. It's Fischer against Gedeon Barcza, and in this game Fischer plays a beautiful endgame, really outplaying his opponent with just a little advantage that he needs. So let's see what happens. Fischer has the white pieces and he starts with e4. c6 by Gedeon, going for the Caro-Kann opening. Knight c3, d5 and knight to f3. And in Fischer's early years, he really loved this double knight setup against the Caro-Kann. He played this a lot in the candidates of 1959, in which the Soviet players Petrosian and Keres respond with pawn takes, knight takes and bishop to g4. But here Gedeon plays knight f6, which is also a fine move. Knight takes, pawn takes. And this is a good defense for our king, and also we can develop the bishop with tempo. So now d4, bishop d6, bishop c4, castles, castles. So this is all very standard. Rook to e8, going on the open file, bishop to b3, and now rotating our knight towards the king side, knight to d7. And here perhaps the best moves for white are maybe c4, h3, rook to e1, but here Fischer plays knight h4. Knight h4, where's the knight going? Well, it can only go to f5, but after knight f8, this square is defended. So preparing it with queen d3, maybe wants to take the bishop. So bishop c7, bishop e3, queen e7, and knight to f5 now. And here you could take the knight, but why give away your very strong bishop pair looking towards the king side here? So obviously Barcza doesn't take, and here he plays queen to e4. He's like, well, if I can exchange the queens against Fischer, I should probably do it to have better drawing chances. Maybe better would have been queen to d7, kick away the knight, knight g3, and then f5, knight to e6, f4 maybe. But okay, we see queen to e4. Now you have to take the queen. Queen takes, rook takes, and knight to g3, attacking the rook. Still not taking the knight. Rook goes back to e8. And now a nice move, d5. Here you basically have to take, if you push through, well, you're just losing a pawn for no reason. So that's why we see pawn takes, bishop takes. And here an interesting move by Barcza. He plays bishop to b6. But after bishop to b6, we can play bishop takes, pawn takes. And this is the only little advantage Fischer needs to outplay his opponent. Let's see what happens. First a3, so we can move away his rook. Rook to a5, rook to d1, rook to c5, attacking the c2 pawn, c3, and rook to c7. Actually a really nice maneuver by the rook, going in like this, maybe coming to e7. So now bishop f3. But Barcza doesn't go to e7, he plays rook to d7. He's just exchanging every piece. Now rook takes, knight takes. And the knight is blocking the f5 square, so the knight jumps to f5. Since after knight c5, knight goes to d6, Fischer wants to take the bishop. Since he already understood that after rook d8, knight takes, rook takes, a bishop is better than a knight in an open position. So let's see how he will outplay his opponent. Rook to d1, king to f8 to prevent back rank problems. Now we have rook to d4, activating the rook, maybe coming to b4, rook c7. But if you play rook b4 now, we have rook to e7, and there's counterplay coming to the back rank here, to e1. So that's why first h3, now f5, and rook to b4 is met with knight to d7. So still everything is holding here. Now the king comes up, king f1, king e7, king e2, king to d8, first rook b5, attacking this pawn, g6, forcing the pawns on light square, so our light squared bishop can maybe take then later on. Okay, king to e3, king to c8, king to d4, and now king to b8. King to d5, rook to c6, king goes back, attacking the rook like this, rook to e6, and looks like black can actually activate here. So that's why you have to play a really forcing move here. If you play a slow move like g3, black would play rook to e1 and he has some counterplay. So that's why Fischer plays the best move, a4 here, putting more pressure on the queen side. After a4, king goes to c7, defending both pawns. And now a5, putting more pressure on the queen side. Rook d6 check, and here a very important and beautiful move by Fischer. If you play something like king to e3, rook will give another check, king to d2. Now black could play something like rook to e5, exchange the rooks, take this pawn, play h5, and he does have counterplay. So that's why here the best move, and Fischer finds it, bishop d5. Just pinning yourself, but now the rook cannot move. The rook is paralyzed. So after bishop to d5, we see king c8 back. Barca is just waiting. And now build up the pressure. b4, c4, c5. Fischer doesn't play that. He plays pawn takes, which is maybe not the best move. Better is just building up more pressure here, but okay. So after a takes b6, first f6, king e3, getting out of this pin, and now knight takes. But now bishop goes to g8. He will hunt those pawns. King c7, defending the knight. Give a check first, make sure that the king has to move, and now take the pawn. Knight d5 check, king has to move, and knight to e7, defending those pawns. And here again a very critical move by Fischer. If you play a slow move like king to e3 here, the rook will go to d8, rook will go to h8, and we will win this bishop. So that's why here a very important move, h4. Now b6, which, I mean, it does attack the rook, but simply rook to b5. Having pressure here, defending our weak pawn, king to b7, and now h5. King goes to a6, attacking the rook, but simply c4. G takes, and look at this. We have isolated weaknesses here. Bishop takes the pawn. You cannot take it. It's defended by the rook. And the bishop is also defending this critical square, so the rook cannot activate. Rook goes to d4, attacking this pawn, but simply b3. Knight c6 here. And king to e3, attacking the rook. Rook has to go back to d8. And bishop e4, saying, what are you going to do with the knight? Knight goes to a5, which is very passive. Now bishop to c2. And as you can see, all the critical squares here are defended. The rook cannot activate. The pawn is defended. The rook is now eyeing to the h5 pawn. h4, rook to h5. Rook e8 check, but simply king to d2. It will come to c3, defend those pawns. Rook to g8, attacking this weakness. Rook takes h4. b5. Rook to f4, attacking this weakness. B takes, pawn takes. Rook takes g2, and rook takes f6 check. King has to go up, and now king to c3. And we have two pawns. One of those will be a queen, and this is just a winning endgame for white. So, okay, Barca tries to have a double attack here, but simply f4 with tempo. Now we're closing to make a queen. Knight goes back, king to b4. And here Barca had enough. I mean, this was a really beautiful endgame by Fischer. I really hope you liked this video. If so, please like, subscribe, or comment. And I'll see you on the next video. Bye bye.